Hello, welcome to Have a Yarn with Charlie. I am Charlie. So I have started a new series for the Addies and the Centros. I will be working with the Addi. My Centro, it has to be cleaned up a little bit. But on today's video, I'm going to show you how to cast on with scrap yarn. When you use scrap yarn, it could be any yarn that you're not particularly fond of, but it could be Red Heart Super Saver. I would not use expensive yarn for scrap yarn, obviously. The Addies, I have no problem myself with Red Heart Super Savers and the coarseness of it. And I'm going to show you a couple tips and tricks on it as well. Yeah, so let's get started. Now I do have scrap yarn that I keep to the side because I reuse them. Now on one side in the beginning it's going to be harder to take the scrap yarn out, and then at the bottom of your project it'll be easier. You just pull a string, but with the top you have to rethread it back out the first row, and then it comes right out. But I'll show you that when we get to it. So I just have, oh, it was like really close, I'm sorry. I have some scrap yarn here, but this is how you add it on. Now there is a switch over here, and I know from the camera view you can't see it. If you have the Addi, make sure this lever is pushed down. That way it goes in a full circle. If you have it up, it'll just make panels. And then if you have it on the panel mode and you try, and then you hear like this awful clicking, it's because you're grinding the gears because you're only on the panel. But okay, so casting on with scrap yarn. And for now we don't have to worry about the counter. But you're going to take it, go around your first peg. Now with the Addies, your first peg is black and the rest are white pegs. I believe on the Centro, your first peg is white or pink. So we're going to go around the peg just like this. You have the loose side, but I hold them just until it goes a little bit down, and then you can let go. Go slow, but it's wrapped around, so now we're going to come on the outside of this peg. We're basically weaving in and out, and it'll lock the yarn in place. So then we come in and around. See now how we're at the white peg? These are the main pegs. So we go around and in front, in the back, in front. After a couple times, you get used to the movement of adding it. First time I tried it, my hands were like, wait, what? But I'm going slow, making sure, yeah, I can talk. Making sure that the ones that are in front are catching, like here. Around. Yeah. Now we're going to continue around till we get to that first black peg again, which is right here. And you should be, again, in front. So then we open it, put it in the yarn guide, close the gate. Otherwise, if you have it open and you go around, these little teeth are going to keep hitting this door, and you may break this after a while, but then it's gonna keep clicking it and dum, 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 dum. Close the gate. Now, I'm gonna be turning it the first round very slow, so don't get seasick or anything. But you want to do It all depends on your preference. Like after a while, when you know what you're doing, you can do 5 rows. In the beginning, you can try anywhere between 5 and 10 rows of waste yarn. It's your preference. But basically what this is doing is it's going to hold your main stitches of your main yarn. So when you take it off, you'll be able to find those stitches without them dropping much easier. So I'm going to wind this up. Now on this round, every hook is going to grab the yarn. We're not going to weave it around in the back and the front. See how every hook is grabbing? I'm sorry if it's a bad angle. But this first round, you want to go slow to make sure it catches. Okay, so now we're back to our first one. So everything is locked in. Now we can go faster. So, sorry if it gets you a little sick. Oh, before I do that, let me back you up a little bit. Even though this is going through the yarn guide, I hold the yarn like this over here. Not too tight, just where it slides. It slides through the fingers really easy. It just gives it a little bit more tension and keeps it straighter. So give me just a moment. I will fast forward. Oops. Okay, so now I am back to the beginning right here. Now I'm going to show you how to cast on your main yarn. Now I do have a little bit extra of waste yarn. That's quite alright. We're going to take it out of this. I'm going to count this. This is your first stitch. Okay. This is your last, and this is your first hook. I had a complete brain fart right there. So after this catches onto this hook, lay this yarn down. Then I'm going to use this one. It's mandala yarn. Yeah, it's hard to see it. Yeah, it's mandala yarn. It's with the sparkles. I found that the Addi machine does like this yarn. It slides through. Now some people say that they have a hard time with certain yarns. I found a little couple of tricks. After you put on your waste yarn and you put on a row or two of your main yarn, you want to get weights. I have these little clips here, and you're going to clip them onto your work inside. Not now because it's not long enough, but I have 3 of them. I put one right at the beginning to hold these, as well as up here, and then I make it evenly. Yeah. So with your main color yarn, remember we ended here, so we're going to put it roughly in the same spot with a little bit of a tail in the same. Now you can tie these loosely together so they don't come loose, but we're going to go under this one. Make sure that's under, but we're gonna feed that through the feeder and then close the gate. Now remember, the first round you want to go slow. I'm going to tie these together. Now you will see a little gap there, but you just tie it together a little bit so it does not come loose. It doesn't have to be too tight. Now again, hold your yarn, but let it do its thing. So that yarn went under there. So that is your first stitch. This is where we ended and this is where we're starting. So both of these yarns are right at this nub. And we're going to go slow. Goes under there. Very slow. So it's going around the nub. Very slowly, making sure that it catches every hook all the way around. I'll speed it up just a little bit. And it's going through just like butter. Okay, so we're back to the beginning. Now we're going to do one more row. You could do it slow, you could do it fast, your call. After this round is over, I am then going to apply the, whoop, I need more yarn. We are then going to apply the weights. Mine, like I showed you, was the clips, and they have worked perfectly for me. Or you can, after a while, place something heavy on top as it starts to close in. I like to put the weights in closer to the beginning, and it's not that close together, so you need the dangly. Another neat trick, here we are at the beginning again, is if you see that you have a lot of static electricity, you can use a dryer sheet. Put the dryer sheet around your, hold it in your hand and have the yarn going through it. Or you could set it up over here where it slides through it and it takes care of so much of the static. I would, in the beginning, I didn't know about that. And I would try to put the yarn in here and it wouldn't let go. It was so much static electricity. It was a little frustrating. But you see, I am stretching this a little bit so I can get the clip onto it, as well as I'm holding the loose strands. I'm sorry if you hear the dogs in the background. But now that we have weight, I'm going to do 2 more rows real quick. You still need to keep your eye on it. We just did 1. And 2. Alright, so I'm going to pause it right here, and I'm going to do 20 rows, 20 more rows, and then I'll meet you back. Okay. I almost forgot. As you go around and your project gets longer, you can continue to move these up further so they're not dragging on your I'm so sorry. So yes, I move these up as I go along. That way they are not dragging on the table. Microphone fell off and scared the dogs, so now they're all walking around like, what happened? But I do apologize. Hopefully I cut that out while I'm editing. So, okay. Alright, I will see you back at the end of 20 rows. Okay. Let's move this up. So, as I mock up, I have 20 rows on here. Now, it does look stretched. Don't worry, it will go back into its shape. Then I'm going to show you as well. And, well, this is how you cast on. Now I'm going to show you how to cast off. So, depending on your method, but for this particular method, with the scrap yarn, you cut your working yarn and lay it in again on the needle before the first black one. Okay, and then you're going to grab your waste yarn, scrap yarn, whatever you like to call it. If I can find the end. And you're going to do the same thing but in reverse. I have a little bit of a tangle going on here. Okay, so again, you make sure that this yarn is laying right next to your working yarn. I'm going to close that because it's about to click it. Okay, so that yarn is caught under that hook. Make sure it's under this hook, and then you're going to feed it through. And then again, you simply just tie it together. Now, if you can see, I still have the weights on the work. And again, you go slowly for your first round of scrap yarn. And we're back to the beginning. So then, you can go fast, and then you could do the 4 or 5 rows or more, and then I will show you how to take it off the machine. Okay, so I've come to the end. That's enough for the waste yarn. Alrighty, so we're under that one. Open this, take it off, and drop it in. Make sure this is closed back up. Now, I'm going to come in closer. You're going to see the magic happen. Now, we have the beginning scrap yarn, our working yarn, and the ending scrap yarn. Now what do? For this particular method, you're just going to make sure that that working yarn of the scrap is caught on the hook, but you're just going to go around in the beginning slowly. Okay, and I hope you could see. There we go. See how I'll use this. See how your live stitch in a way is around these two with all of them. This one, the hook has not gone down yet, but here's the working yarn, and I'll show you. Working yarn. So it's held onto those little nibs, as I like to call them, and I will continue going around until we get to the first hook again. Okay, so we're back to the beginning. Now what? Now on regular knitting, you know how annoying it is when you drop a stitch. There's no more yarn. It's right here. If I can grab it. Come on. Your live stitch is right here. But it's okay because we have the scrap yarn before the working yarn. So if we lose a stitch or two going down, it's alright. It's just the scrap yarn. So just keep winding and see how it's popping off. Just like that. I'm going to bring you back up. Whoops. There we go. And it just pops off from this side. just like that. Now I'm going to move this, and then I will show you what to do next. Okay, so the machine is gone. Now I'm going to take off these clips. There we go. And here is our little project. Alrighty, so I'm going to bring you in for closer. Okay. So you're wondering now what to do. You have this mess and this blah. You have your scrap yarns. Okay. So you find the ends of your beginning and your working yarn right here. Okay? So then you refold it so that this yarn is over here, and then we're going to grab, you have, let's use this one. This is your working yarn, and this is your scrap yarn. Now, like I said, the live stitches are on the scrap yarn, so you gotta be a little gentle, but it's okay. But this is how we're going to close up this work. Now you can see the difference from the scrap and the working yarn. You have one here, and one here, and then so forth and so on. We're going to go under here. I hope you can see it. There we go. So we go under this one, and then we're going to grab that loop on that side and pull it through like a slip stitch. Hold on to that loop, grab that one, pull it through. Try not to miss any of these loops. If you do, check before you remove your waste yarn. And this is how you do a closure. I call it the crochet closure. See how it's closing up there? It's hard to do at this angle with the camera in front. And you just go all the way down. Alright, so I'm going to, if you want to pause it, I will pause mine, and I will meet you back at the end over here. Okay, so I'm at the end right here. I have a couple more stitches, but it's hard to see because remember we tied those two together. So we're going to, since they're very loose, you just pull on one and it will come apart. Now remember, don't let go yet. Alright, so from rolling it under, I can see that I have 2 more stitches left. So I'm going to go under this one. Oop, I'm sorry. I was out of camera view. I'll do that again. I have 2 more stitches. And then we'll go under that one. And then turn it. And go under that one. Alright. So that was the last stitch right there. But now we have to lock it into place. So we're going to move the scrap yarn over. Take this from the working yarn and we're just going to slip stitch. Now you can make another chain, but I like to just pull it through and pull tight. And that's it. That's the closure. Now how to remove your waste yarn. Okay. You find the end here. Right here. The one that you just put aside. Now, the beginning scrap yarn that you used is going to be the harder one to take off. The last one that you put on is easier. So you're just pulling that working yarn. And see how it's just coming right out? And that's all. And since you locked them in place, you could just take them off. It's kind of satisfying in a way. As I'm going, okay, and I'm just inspecting it, making sure I did not miss any of those loops, no drop stitches, and that's that. So now with this working tail, you take a darning needle, and we're just gonna thread it in, and it's going to be inside, and we just poke it through. That's all. Or you take your crochet hook, come up to the corner, and grab it through, and now it's inside. Because when you seal up that end, you're not going to see it. All right.